Oh my god.
Oh, the biggest concern with being underwater would be water damage and water pressure. Graphically, it just looks really realistic. You can even see like the oxidation on the metal there.
It makes me feel like I'm watching Blade Runner, but as a video game.
But with maybe some guns and murder.
You have that here too.
Hi, I'm Joe Grescovich. I'm from Ohio. I went to school at Kent State University for architecture, and I've been practicing for 9 years in architecture.
I'm Karla Solis. I went to Woodbury University for architecture, and I've been practicing as an architectural and interior designer for 4 years. So we're going to watch Bioshock right now, and we're gonna comment on the architecture and anything we see that's relevant to what we do. I've heard of this game, but I've never seen images or gameplay of it or anything at all, so I'm not sure what to expect.
Let's check it out.
Oh, this looks like Metropolis.
So this isn't, it didn't say it was set anywhere, it just kind of plopped us here.
Yeah, this looks very futuristic.
Like post-apocalyptic. I don't know what year this is, it looks like 2020.
Yeah.
This looks like a 2020 year.
This
Oh,
looks,
that door is awesome.
very Art Deco. It's very
That gold
very
door?
Art Deco, yeah.
Mhm. All of this is very Art Deco.
You can see all the Egyptian influence.
Whoa, hold up.
Are they underwater?
I think so. I think I'm seeing bubbles. Wow, the graphics are incredible.
Yeah.
It's really dark though.
No, says the man in Moscow.
It's very political.
Well, Art Deco was like Egyptian and Russian combinations of influences. Like Russian deconstruction and I think Cubism and then some Egyptian elements.
He's in this submarine tank and it's just kind of floating around this city? Is that what's
guess
happening?
so.
Ooh, those statues are very like Metropolis.
Yeah. It's like Blade Runner. Blade Runner has a
Yeah.
lot of Art Deco qualities as well, but very futuristic.
Okay, that's a whale. That is a giant blue whale. That is so cool.
Oh, that is very cool.
I wish I had giant blue whales like swimming around my apartment building. There's definitely like continuity to everything. It looks like it all sort of makes sense together. The biggest concern I think with being underwater would be water damage and water pressure. I think that's the two biggest things. Already if you're designing a building for the real world, your biggest obstacle typically is water. Whether it's rainwater, floods, horizontally driven water, whatever, there's still issues even on dry land with water as far as how do you waterproof. So something like this would be of massive...
I think it'd be about developing some kind of new material that could be used especially for this because we don't really have anything.
Also, I think light would be a concern too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I
I'm
didn't
actually
think that.
kind of amazed. It was darker, but for the most part, if you're on the bottom of, sea or ocean level, it's probably pitch black. Every amount of lighting would be artificial lighting, would be like electrical. And then if you need a lot of electrical lighting in an underwater city, that's also a serious risk.
I can't really tell if this is like 1920s or 1960s because they're both like Art Deco-ish periods.
It's like very realistic, the graphics. I think they're very close to reality, but it's also, there's some things that don't really make sense. Oh, and there's also wrench hitting and lots of blood. Okay, that's violent. You saw that glass ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no way that the water pressure wouldn't just demolish that. And
Yeah.
Are all these windows kind of like fixed? You can't open these windows because water will come into these spaces. Oh, look at that. So there you go. Yeah. So water does crash in when the windows break.
No,
What is with this like electrical hand going on? Like what does it do with that? Oh, he electrocutes people with it.
Oh, okay.
And it stuns them. That's epic. I appreciate the vision for this game. Like it goes together.
Yeah.
There's continuity in everything, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I think they're trying to get across a futuristic vibe, and Art Deco was all about machinery and futuristic ideas, so it's a really good setting for what they're trying to convey.
But with like past propaganda.
Yeah.
1959, okay.
Oh, okay.
So we're... What's cool is they're basically envisioning like a futuristic 1959, like if the future came early, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I thought it was the 1920s immediately because it was Art Deco, but Art Deco kind of died out in the 30s, early 30s, and then people were all about it again in the 60s.
Something of that scale could take 20,
That's
30,
true.
40 years to actually build. So
Yeah, could have been designed in the 20s and finished in the 60s. So.
yeah, it doesn't make sense necessarily. You know, there's always a lapse in design and construction, right? Just because something is trending and is popular now, the larger sort of the scale of project, it takes more and more years to complete. You know, by the time it's done, it might be out of style or not trending anymore, and might be a reflection of 20, 30, 40 years, you know, before. What's cool is the decay you're seeing everywhere. It's like, you know, nothing is like pristine. Like everything looks like it's worn, and graphically it just looks really realistic.
Yeah.
Like you can even see like the oxidation on the metal there, like it's, you know.
As it would happen if it was underground.
Or underwater too, yeah, for sure.
Underwater.
Yeah.
I get really irritated when people or something is trying to convey an Art Deco vibe and they do Art Nouveau or they mix it. So I'm impressed so far that like this has been well done. I don't see any little flowers like in Art Nouveau that people always throw into these kind of things. It's consistent and it looks like it was well researched.
And I appreciate like you see how like nature is kind of taken over as this has been abandoned. So it really shows like the layers of time. You don't need to know much about the game. We're learning and picking up clues just visually.
Yeah.
You know, by saying, you know, aesthetics are a moral imperative, I think maybe that's true for artists, but with architects, we have to deal with actual real life issues, public safety. There's real life concerns and problems that we have to work through. And you know, it's not all aesthetics, it's not all designing, it's also, you know, creating a safe, sustainable environment for people. So I think aesthetics are important, but it's not a moral imperative. It's not the number one priority, I think, for architects, maybe for artists.
Well, minimalism could be considered an aesthetic. So I'm unsure what that statement made a case for. The aesthetics are a moral imperative. It could be for either, but I do think it is imperative that we care what things look like, because the city and what we see around us affects how we feel and affects our decisions.
It's actually kind of interesting dialogue because, you know, I think aesthetics is something that is very personal. So you could be on the side of less is more, or you know, less is more, or you know, whatever you're sort of into. And I think that's a never-ending discussion. That's just secular, like what's in style, what's the new trend. But something that's not is, you know, the practical implications of architecture. You know, what are we building for? How is it getting better? How are we addressing real problems? You know, maybe this was some grand, beautiful plan for a city, but it clearly failed. And it's also super dangerous. It's an underwater city that, you know, could collapse on you. And there's so many real life issues with it. It might be beautiful, it might have been beautiful at a time, but you know, did it actually make life better? That's the question.
It makes me feel like I'm watching Blade Runner, but as a video game. One of the most impressive things about that movie is the architecture.
But with, you know, maybe some guns and murder.
Yeah. Well, you have that here too. It was super impressive architecture.
True.
And electrical hand.
Really love these like glass pathways from building to building. It's really cool.
I've not seen a single geometry that does not fit in, as far as like the style.
Is that a giant bunny mask?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a metro. So this looks like a transportation hub or something. This is pretty epic space right here.
Yeah.
This whole, like, and the lighting is so cool.
You can see all the water on top. That's crazy.
It's like a glass barrel vault ceiling. I haven't seen that before. I think it's leaking.
Look, see, they do stuff like that, and they're supposed to resemble like Egyptian motifs.
Yeah, even like this like cage for the elevator is very like Art Deco Egyptian.
It's like centuries later, and people are still trying to emulate Egyptians because they were the best.
I think he's playing the piano, maybe. Yeah, I think he's wearing a mask, so he's concealing his tears.
Get me out of there!
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. Hold up.
That was not cool.
That was the very end of the video. They just have a guy blow up and they're like, that's it. I hope you liked it. So yeah, so we just got done watching Bioshock, and you know, if you were to design a city underwater, what would you design?
I would probably try to emulate something that's already been done and that already worked. That was a newly designed city. It wasn't replicating anything really, so that was really impressive.
Yeah, super creative. So if you like this video, go check out the Gamology Facebook and YouTube channel. Bye.
Bye.
I'm from Ohio. I went to Kent State.
I don't know why I thought it was funny when he's like, I'm from Ohio. Why is that funny?
I'm from Ohio, and I went to school.
Oh, yes. We need this.
Well, at least we're laughing.
I don't know why
feel
that
like
is so funny all of a sudden.
They could put this in anywhere. I
Okay, I'm done. Sorry.